Hello and welcome to News9. Today we have with us Dr. Shailesh Kumar, the Chief Data Scientist at the Center of Excellence in AI and ML, Reliance Jio. Thank you for being with us, sir.
Thank you for inviting me.
Could you broadly explain where data science stands within this whole universe of AI, machine learning, large language models, cloud, quantum computing?
So, if you look at the modern era, we are going through what we call a convergence of many technologies. At the base of it is the compute and connectivity technologies, right? They are the nervous system, if you will, or the calculation engines of the modern digital human civilization. And on top of it is the whole data as a service kind of technologies, the databases, the big data computing, the data visualization, anything to do with data and understanding data, driving insights from data. So there's a whole bunch of data engineering and data storage services. Above that is the data science services, which is now a broad term that includes anything that we do with data is data science, right? So if we derive insights, if we make predictions, if we do reasoning, if we do optimization, all this is the foundation of data science. Now within that, the new definition of AI that is emerging is the technologies like Gen AI is now, intelligence AI technologies. Similarly, if you think of speech technologies, language technologies, reasoning technologies that are going to come up, these are the next level of intelligence technologies. Now, if you go back to the compute technologies will continue to evolve from where they were to the cloud compute today, to GPU-based compute today, to where we are going to go is quantum computing, neuromorphic computing, biological computing. So computing will keep evolving, and so will the data technologies keep evolving in terms of new sensors will be created, new resolutions, real-time data will flow. So the data layer will also keep evolving, and data science layer will keep evolving in terms of more and more sophisticated algorithms, more and more applications in different verticals. As the lower layers enable, the higher levels will do. And finally, the AI technologies will keep evolving from just ChatGPT and Sora to something next will keep evolving. So all the four layers are essential and they are all evolving. Now, apart from that, there are many supporting technologies like devices, for example, the satellite data, the communication technologies, all those will keep working, the robotic technologies, the 3D printer, for example. But the key is whoever is going to understand this convergence of technologies and is going to use all of them to create a platform or a solution, that is where we are. So I think of technologies as a buffet, and the solution as a thali that you create from the buffet, right, by combining different technologies together. And if you look at all the products today, if you look at a Zoom call or a Ola Uber or a Swiggy Zomato or LinkedIn, they're all a mixture of multiple technologies. So there is a technology evolution that will happen, and on top of it, product evolution that will continue to happen.
In the next coming generations, how imperative and important will AI and all these technologies that you named be to conventional industrial sectors, be it textiles, be it manufacturing, be it automobiles, be it even services? How important will data science and all these technologies become to these industries, even defense?
Yes. So I think we have to understand that there is a turning point in the way we have to think about the IT thinking and the AI thinking. These are very different. In IT thinking, we knew what we were doing. We were building towards a certain specification of software. Humans were designing and building and testing and deploying these, and that was the IT era. We know how to build great software, right? Now in the AI world, we are not building the software itself, but we are building a system that can build the software in a way. It's a meta level, one more level away from us, and it's data-driven software development, data-driven model that will come. The intelligence is not programmed by an expert anymore. It will become better over time, like in a human child. When he receives more and more data, his ability to make decisions, make predictions become better and better over time. This ability to do something better and better over time is the new transition from an IT software which is a static software. Once it is programmed, only the next version it will be better. But AI systems continue to evolve, and that is a big transition that has happened. So we are going to see that, Google search evolved for the last 20 years. It was not the same on day 1 and day 2, 20 years. Similarly, the birth of any new technology will have that nature. ChatGPT will evolve over the next 20, 30 years. It will have more and more capabilities. So there is going to be a continuous technological innovation that will happen. Along with that, there is a very important innovation, which is a use case innovation. And the idea is people will figure out newer ways of using the same technologies or a combination of technologies to create new things, right? So imagine the future of retail, for example. I want a certain kind of chair. Today I go to IKEA, I like some, I don't like some. Imagine a future in which I ask AI to design a chair for me through a conversation. Then I ask a 3D printer to print that chair for me. So there is no more Amazon in the loop. So this kind of a disruption is going to be something that will become the norm in the next few years, right? Another big area where AI will be very useful is social transformation. And how AI will be able to understand every child's current state of learning, figure out what that child needs now versus a different child. What is the right content, right question, right assessment, right mentor? If we can personalize our Netflixes and our LinkedIn's and Facebooks, why can't we personalize education for every child? So we're going to see innovation in social sector applications of AI. Same thing in healthcare. Today the burden is very high on the system, doctor-patient ratio. We're going to see scaling of great experts to the masses via AI, and that will scale, the best engineers, the doctors, the best surgeons will be scalable to the masses, right? Same thing in agriculture. Today our farmers are struggling with what to do next. Today, should I water the plant, not water the plant? Krishi Darshan program doesn't give them the answer they are looking for. So they are all going to receive very personalized, recommendation on what they need to do, not because of an expert sitting somewhere, but he's also an AI system that looks at the satellite data of your farm, the IoT data of your farm, the weather in your area, the kind of crops that you have grown in the past and their success failure rates, and then decide what to do. So with very, very holistic systems, AI will be able to make very precise decisions for everyone individually, and that's the next big milestone in the use case world that I see for AI.
You spoke about printers and you touched upon something that we know now, up to now, as manufacturing. Now, taking from the example you gave, that if I think up a chair that I want and it is made of mahogany, and another person thinks up a chair that he wants and that is made of concrete, how does a printer, a 3D printer work in these two cases?
So, 3D printer works with their own inks, right? It's not that they're going to use mahogany or concrete as a raw material. 3D printers have their own ink. You can modify. Ink business in 3D printing will evolve. New materials will get created, some more robust, some more strong, some more malleable, whatever it is. So there is that progress that will happen, and then the diversity of what we can do with the materials that we can produce will again create a new set of innovations, right? And at the end of this, the role of humans will be very interesting. We will not be the carpenters anymore because 3D printer is building something. We are not going to be our role will be more of a designer, not a builder, and planner and not an executioner. So I think, it's interesting to see how
what would be worrying is, from what you said, probably it will take manufacturing away altogether. Would that happen? If I want a scarf and a 3D printer can have the material that makes a scarf and makes the scarf, then I don't need any manufacturing outlet or shop floor to do it for me. Is that a scenario that is ever going to happen in the coming future?
Well, it's not going to happen completely and for all kind of manufacturing suddenly. Whatever is an early adopter naturally in that domain will happen first, right? So today we are seeing that 3D printing is building houses, for example, because walls and roofs are plastic material that can be made easily, right? So wherever there is a possibility of injecting this technology, we'll adopt that first and slowly over a period of time. But if we want to build something with iron and steel, that cannot be done in a normal environment, right? That needs a lot of heating and all that. That will still happen there, but it will happen in a more robotic fashion instead of putting humans in the harm's way. So there will be progress at different levels and different natures of manufacturing.
One word that we hear a lot of times is data, and it's used in all sorts of ways. Now, you spoke about data science. Data science and data centers, what is the linkage?
Well, data center, so if you look at the generation of data, right? So that today data is generated by multiple sources. One is the sensors, right? Every thermometer, every satellite, every soil IoT, every temperature, every gyroscope, everyone is generating a lot of data. So there's a generation of data, which is what we call sensor thinking. Where all is data getting generated from? Now, if I take it to next level, every payment transaction, every phone call, every purchase, every stock market, every insurance, everything is also data. So data is getting generated through our systems, through our sensors, and through our systems, right? So this is data that is getting generated all the time. Where does all this go? So today we are generating more data in a day than we have generated in the human civilization till today. So just imagine the volume of data that is being generated. Same thing if you look at genetic data, right? All the viruses and everything is huge amount of data. So data generation has accelerated tremendously. Variety of data that comes has accelerated, from gene sequence to soil IoT to even the breath of a person is now data for somebody. So data variety has grown and volume has grown. Where does it all go? And that's where we need massive data centers to not only store data but also process data and do AI on it and generate decisions from it. So we need a very large compute framework where I can store once what is generated and then use it to do amazing things with it.
One civilization every day, if I can take out from what you have just answered, is a huge amount of data. And this data, correct me if I'm wrong, is stored in electronic signals. What is the carbon footprint?
It is huge. It is huge. Now let me tell you how it has come down because of cloud versus imagine if a world where everybody owned a PC, everybody had their own compute and everything, versus cloud compute has suddenly reduced that. It's like saying if everybody cooks food at home versus there is a community kitchen where all food is cooked, there is an efficiency angle. So cloud, the need is high. There's a lot of compute needed. That's why at least in the Reliance ecosystem, we are looking at solar powered cloud data centers so that we can compensate for the carbon footprint. Satya Nadella was talking about a nuclear power plant next to a data center. That is the amount of energy it consumes, right? As we go into very complex AI, like large language models, compute costs will continue to exponentially grow, and we're going to need newer ways. What is also coming on the horizon are newer technologies like quantum computing and others, which are going to reduce and change the paradigm on the compute side, so that we can use the much less space, much less energy to do much more storage and much more compute. And I think a big paradigm shift is going to happen in that world also, because the current state is not very sustainable, and we'll reach a peak at some point where we'll look for alternatives.
Is there a comparison example you have of the carbon footprint that data centers globally use to maybe all other pollutants?
All other pollutants. I would say that if you take a full-fledged data center like a Google or a Microsoft would have, I'm sure it consumes more energy than a whole city. That is the level of carbon footprint we are talking about. And this is one big area of research in sustainable computing. How do you reduce that? How do you, find alternate ways to power that kind of a thing? But yeah, that is the equivalent of that. One data center can consume as much electricity as a whole city in a day. So it is a big problem.
Globally, right now, who are the market leaders when it comes to data centers and data storage? You spoke about Google, but what are the biggest names right now? Who are the market leaders?
So obviously Amazon is way ahead of everybody else. They have been doing it before everybody else did. So they have the most knowledge about how to put together an efficient data center. Then Microsoft and Google are there. At some point, other storage providers are coming up which are enabling private clouds within the enterprises. So we are going to see a lot of long tail of those kind of providers who will provide small data centers across instead of very large data center. So even some startups are getting involved. There are some Indian startups looking at how to provide data centers within India at a much cheaper cost and all that. So yes, I think this whole area of data centers industry will boom. Like the mall industry has boomed. One mall did well in one place, so now everybody is building a mall everywhere. Similarly, I think data center industry, 3 great data centers we have seen what they can do. So then everybody will jump on the bandwagon. But we know enough how to put together great data centers that this is
exactly my next question. You spoke about Amazon, Microsoft, Google, the big giants in this industry. How far behind is India in the data center space?
So I think we are behind. There are two notions of behind. One is the core infrastructure of putting together a data center, right? The building, the cooling, the energy requirements. I think there are many data centers coming up in India, government initiated. Reliance has many of our own data centers, and even Microsoft of the world are putting data centers in India. So I think we are going to see a very big resurgence of data center. Like we created SEZs for software, now there are zones being created in different states for creating data centers and made sure that they are supplied with all the energy they need. So I think we are catching up very quickly. The other need, so one is infrastructure, the other is the actual hardware, the racks, the compute and all that. This is where I think we are still lagging. And I think the new policies around manufacturing chips in India and the whole supply chain should happen here is going to accelerate that part. That was a blind spot and we didn't see it coming. But with the Taiwan, China thing going on, I think now there's a very big focus on manufacturing chips. There are centers coming up all over India. So those two types of centers, right? Building chips in India and building data centers in India together is going to bring us back very quickly. Within the next 5 years, I think we should be at par with our needs at least of these things.
Coming to specifically Reliance Jio, what is Reliance's vision in one catching up with the Googles and the Amazons and the Microsofts in this space, or is it not going to be competitive? You're just going to be another coexisting data center space, or you are looking at competing? Because Reliance has a history, when they go into something, they go in a big way.
Yes. So we do technology not for the sake of technology, we do it for the sake of the country. And Mr. Ambani keeps talking about how to go backward from solutions and customer, not forward from technology, right? So sometimes we build technology and find a use case, but here we are saying, here are my use cases, therefore what technology we need, right? So Mr. Ambani's vision is to transform India socially through technology, and he started with connectivity, because connectivity is the foundation of all of that. Now we are partnering with NVIDIA to build compute costs down. So like we brought connectivity costs down, now we are bringing compute costs down, and with that, all the universities, all the research will get again ignited with that level of compute. And after that, we are working on many use cases across healthcare, agriculture, education, where we want to, through Reliance Foundation, through technology, through our partners, international partners, how do we come together to solve India's core problems? Because problems are unique to countries, technologies are global in nature, right? So how do we build, real-time advisory systems for all farmers of the country? This is one, moonshot project. How do we build a personalized education system for every child in the country, in every language? NEP is there. It allows for that. Prime Minister is promoting digital physical schools. How do we become part of that? Healthcare, the new ABDM is an amazing thing that leapfrog India to far ahead in the healthcare domain. Now we are looking at how to build diagnosis not for what you have, but what you might have in the future. Because if we have a longitudinal data of a person, we can actually build predictive models and say, based on your history, this is what you may have in the next 5 years. Therefore, this is what you should do. So the kind of leapfrog that we are expecting to do in all these three social sectors is very different. And with all the connectivity and compute at the foundation, we are going to be able to do this, with a lot of confidence. And
Talking of leapfrog, one word that has caught the attention of most industry watchers is BharatGPT, and probably the first large language model product in India. Take us through that.
yeah, so I see it as a great bridge between the Bharat, which is deprived of the benefits of technology, and these benefits coming to them, right? So one of the biggest hurdles for people to adopt the, let's say the policies of the government or the healthcare benefits or, teaching their children language was a big barrier. Now, most of our textbooks were written in those languages, and that created a limited pool of content for people to use. Farmers and plumbers and others were not language savvy and educated enough to be able to read and write, but they can speak and listen. And I think the next wave will be, how do we create the knowledge systems of India, make them available in all languages for anybody to consume for any use case that they have, right? So imagine a future where you're a family in a tier 3 village in Odisha, and in your local language you can ask, about studying a concept in your language, and BharatGPT will be able to teach you. You can ask for, I have some symptoms, what do I do? So it can take care of your healthcare needs. You can ask for what are the benefits that the government is giving for my sector of people. It can do that and all that, right? So building, bringing Bharat onto the modern bandwagon is one of the most important roles that BharatGPT will play. There are challenges in terms of limited language resources that we have in the next 6 languages, right? The first 6 we have, but the next 6 and the next 6 after that. So, there are many projects, the Vahini project, the Bhashini project that the government has launched, where people are now, collecting a lot of that data and making sure BharatGPT is able to utilize all that to create this. But where we are going to go is vertical centric, BharatGPT for agriculture in Punjabi language, BharatGPT for Odia in, for healthcare in Odia language. So I think if we go that route, instead of building one monolithic BharatGPT, we will need to build, one for each language and for each vertical, and that is where I think the journey will be. And then we'll detect, whatever you are saying, it will direct it to that language model, and we'll be able to, and then we'll have to address issues like staleness, hallucination, and copyright and all of that are already coming up.
India is a huge market. All multinationals are looking to shore up their margins towards India. Now, what stops a Microsoft with an open AI or a Google Bard, who have already a market lead in terms of the amount of research they have put into this, to throw much more money towards Indian languages and everything that you just talked about offering in Odia language or Punjabi language for a specific purpose, for a specific end? It will be much cheaper for them to have that innovation in place much faster. Now, how does Reliance compete with that sort of a scenario?
See, we should not think about compete in the social context, at least, right? So we want all of us, whenever I talk to Microsoft and Google, and we are all on the same page. We all want to help out society. We're not thinking of it as another cash cow. I think we make enough money in other places. And the challenges are common. If one group doesn't have data, the other group also doesn't have data, right? The reason why English data is all over and everybody can build an English model is because everybody had equal access to the internet, right? But how much data does exist in a very, rare language in India? That is a common problem that all of us have to come together and solve instead of compete with it. So it's not a question of who has more compute or a better algorithm anymore. It's a question of who has the more data in that language for that domain, and that is everybody's problem. And I think, different states are trying to encourage digitization of their, their literature, their, technical work, their, their cultural literature to come online in a digital format. So far, that move was not there. Now, I was with in the Odisha government, and there's a big push going on there around how to make Odia a very prominent language on the internet. And I think if everybody thinks like that and makes their languages prominent, then it's an open field for anybody to pick that up and build great models. So it's a question of when these languages volumes will be enough, or when an alternate approach to language models comes, which does not require a lot of this thing. For example, translation based language models. And you have a language model in English. If you want to produce an answer in Punjabi, you can always translate that, right? You can take the Punjabi prompt, convert it to English prompt, do your English thing, convert the answer back to Punjabi. So through translation, a lot of things can be done, and through original data, because certain cultures have certain words that have no equivalent in other cultures, for example, right? So for those kind of nuances, we will have to depend on language content, but translation can take a lot of that. So I think it's once we get out of the competition mindset, I think working together and making this happen will be very.
Okay. Now we touched upon one part of the repercussions, and that is the carbon footprint. The other part is how many jobs are getting lost because of AI taking up jobs, even if it is right now at the lower levels. The third will be what people are worried about is deep fakes and identity thefts and all that. My question is, given the quantum of disruption this technology is bringing, has industry globally really thought through what they are getting into with the amount of innovation that AI is going through on a daily basis?
And this is a classical dilemma that the inventor doesn't realize the disruption until he sees it, which is in the future, right? And this happened with, Edison when he invented the bulb. This happened with Hippocrates when he invented the modern medicine. They didn't realize the positive and negative disruptions that happened, right? It is for the history to judge. But I think, let me talk a little bit about three losses. You talked about job loss and identity loss. I'll add one more loss called the skill loss. So if you look at when the calculators were introduced into the system, kids stopped learning the tables. Mental calculation was a skill that we lost and outsourced to the calculators, right? When Google Maps came, we lost the skill of navigation because we depended on Google Maps to do it, right? Similarly, now when ChatGPT has come, I am more worried about the skill loss, that kids will say, why do I need to learn languages and grammar and sentence construction and all of that if ChatGPT can write a proper English for me, right? So first thing we need to focus on is skill loss, right? Now, have we stopped teaching math in schools because calculators have come or computers have come, right? And therefore, will we stop teaching language skills just because ChatGPT has come? So that's the question, right? Will we stop teaching programming skills because ChatGPT can now take over software jobs? So I think that's a gray area to think about. But skill loss should be prevented, not encouraged because of this. School disruptions should happen in such a way that they protect first principle thinking, teamwork, many other skills, communication and math, basic foundation skills should not get lost because technology is there, right? And we have resisted so far, we'll continue, but it is to be consciously done. Job losses, yes, all the time, whenever disruption happens in technology, some jobs go away, more jobs get created, right? So the farmers will learn how to use a drone to farm instead of a tractor to farm. Is that a bad thing, right? Is that a skill loss, right? If a field worker was employed by all these schemes, was doing a manual job, now he starts operating a robot or a machinery, has he lost a job or he has gained productivity? So there is a gray area there, which is loss of job is not equivalent to gain in productivity in a negative way. It's a good thing, right? In the media world, now there are companies coming up with, generating content automatically, delivering content automatically, right? What would the humans do? Now, wherever that kind of a job is lost, then we have to start thinking about it, right? But still, there also we need to think about the role of humans in the new world. And the role of humans is curation, not creation. So what I mean by that is that every ECG doesn't have to be looked at by the heart doctor first. It can be seen by an AI, and if there is nothing wrong or definite this or definite that, then AI can take care of it. Only rare cases where AI is not able to make a sense, can a human doctor look at it. So this is the new role of human and task are separated by a layer of AI now, and we will become curators. AI will write the news article, the editor will do what an editor does, it will edit, fact check and forward, right? So just because we have compressed the core creation part doesn't mean the role of a human is completely gone. It is still there. It is now shifted from creation to curation, and that transition we'll have to accept at some point. And that's what a rickshawala accepts when an auto comes.
Rickshawala and auto context to India. My last question, sir. India has a huge amount of population, and most of this population is employed in the lower level jobs. Even when it comes to computing, the programmers or the actually data entry people are the ones who are employed in the maximum numbers. Now, AI in the first step is taking away that quantum of jobs. Are you worried?
Well, I'm not worried in the sense that AI is also creating a lot of jobs in that area, and continuous upskilling will be required. That is the norm, right? We cannot sit on and be complacent about this I know, therefore I'm done. I think lifelong learning is a theme that we should encourage instead of these scenarios that we are trying to create and scare people. So there is an innovation there where we say, hey, okay, what kind of jobs will definitely go away? How can we replace that group of people with a new set of jobs? So job creation in the new world will be an innovation, a challenge for all of us. And I remember when we brought up autonomous vehicles coming into the country, and the leadership at that time said no, because what will our drivers do if autonomous vehicles will drive all the cabs? So there is a social consciousness in India about what should and should not be done. Wherever it uplifts and scales, it should be done. And wherever, and the compensation for that should be upskilling for the people who will lose that. And I think these two should keep going hand in hand, then we'll find the right balance between technology and society.
So all the fears around AI taking away jobs, taking away identities, you say are misplaced?
Not misplaced, they are probably exaggerated, and we have to focus on thinking about solutions for them instead of increasing the how factor that we are trying to create around them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. That was Dr. Shailesh Kumar giving us an expansive elucidation on the effects of AI, ML, and quantum computing in the times to come.